listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, and streaming live on Ustream, this is AFTERBUZZ TV for Breaking Bad. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest Breaking Bad news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, picking up where the show leaves off and the buzz continues, it's AFTERBUZZ TV for Breaking Bad.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for another Breaking Bad Season 4, Episode 12, entitled End Times. I'm your host, John Comerford. I'm joined in the studio by Paul Ashton, Steve Bottomley,
hello,
Big Ben, and in the booth is Jesse Janity. Well, Vince Gilligan and his crew has done another masterful job of creating huge amounts of tension without saying much.
In this, the penultimate episode.
Exactly, really setting up the finale for us, because I don't know, by the end of this, I don't know about you guys, but I was
They had the courage to just go, we are going to slow this down and just let everybody just stew. And it just kept building. He really wanted. Could somebody shoot somebody, please?
Since you brought that up, let's talk about how they use time to their advantage to really create the tension. In the last few episodes we've had, everybody's been racing around. There's been chases. There've been bullets firing. All kinds of excitement happening. This one, it slows down
and pulled
completely.
it back almost to a sense to that first episode of this great season.
Yes,
where everything was
that whole 10-minute scene where nothing was said.
But of course, I mean, they opened the episode as we can see right here now. In the studio with quite a bit of
urgency,
the big GMC trucks driving down.
Exactly.
And the Secret Service are in town.
Oh my God,
them.
we got to.
I was watching that opening sequence. I was thinking, this is going to be a ride. This episode is going to be crazy. If they're going to open with this,
I know. And
I did not expect them to go. Okay,
they get your heart pounding like crazy, and then it's. You got nowhere to go.
And in a way, put us in doing so, put us in the same position as the characters were in.
Absolutely. And everybody like hurrying.
The setup outside when Walt takes Skyler to the car and the baby's crying and he says bye to the baby, and you know that both he and Skyler know that could be the last time I ever see my child.
I loved the shot that they picked. They're on the inside of the car. You see the baby between them. They're on the outside. You see the two of them framed in the window. The baby's between them. Not a word spoken between Walt and Skyler.
Nothing to say.
And just a crying baby to do the sound.
And not even a touch. Not even a touch.
Right.
And everything we know and everything you need to know about the relationship and what they're up against right now is said in nothing except how they are with each other. I was like, wow.
And the title of the episode is End Times. And we all noted a number of recurring themes, you know, just the sun setting, like Saul talking about it's the end of days. The heat's got to get out. And the visual images of Skyler smoking with the sun setting was just. It was like it's coming to the end of.
And we were also speaking earlier about how everybody's waiting for something to happen in this, and not only, and by proxy, so is the audience. By the time we're getting through it, but Walt's waiting for somebody to kill him. Jesse's got the what's his name, the young Brock. Yeah. He's waiting for something. Is he going to die? Is he going to live? He's waiting for that.
You feel like the family are getting cabin fever, or like
and they're just waiting to be attacked or something. So the whole movie, the whole show,
over on with Hank and everybody in protective custody, they're obviously waiting for an attack. So that whole group is everyone's waiting except Hank.
Yeah,
Hank seems to know it's a smoke screen. He's not buying it for a second. In fact, everything they do to try to push him away, he always takes his I'm getting closer. You know, they wouldn't have done this if I didn't get closer.
Exactly.
And it wasn't even the cartel.
Yeah. And what does he say? Hey, Walt. Can we take it down a notch? He's not worried about it.
Not at all.
And you commented, Steve, outside about the time lapse, use of the time lapses.
I thought they did a great job using it. There was one moment that I thought was really cool, and when Jesse starts another cook and he hits it, and they go to that real quick, the time lapse in the city.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool. You know how the drugs are fueling the city. You know, those two pieces put together. I thought was really
nice
clever.
one outside the hospital as well.
Yeah, they did that one there. I think 3 times they did something of that nature. They've used that before very successfully, and this time it was great. I mean, I was surprised that I saw it 3 times, but it completely worked. I don't know how.
And it seemed that every time, just to go with what you were saying, it seemed like every time they time lapse toward dusk or toward dark. You know, again, kind of go with the end of times idea.
Keep going.
But man,
there was so much simmering the whole time, and you know, not only for within the episode, but for this episode within the season, and the only hint we got that something was going to break was what came from Gus when he said there will be an appropriate response.
Now, what he said there, did anybody at all guess where that response was going to happen?
I had a feeling.
Nope.
I had a feeling it would leave some people quite unhappy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can always tell like it's going to be bad, but knowing Gus, you can't think like him. You can't be like,
but the only thing I figured was he's not going to mess with Walter.
He can't.
He can't. He can't too much because he's going to ruin his deal with Jesse.
Well, I think the deal was anything permanent.
The only other lever he could move is Jesse.
Yeah, he's going to put the fire under him. I didn't know he was going to use a kid, though. Somehow, yeah.
But then you think about it, and Walter's right. His argument about, well, who else has ever used a child to get what he wants, manipulated, whatever it was, and it's only been Gus.
And you know they have cameras everywhere on them, but who knows?
Yeah.
But
if
here's
their
the thing
phones
about
have been compromised, or
here's the thing about Gus choosing to use the ricin on the child. He was also, in a sense, I think, telling Jesse, "I knew who it was for."
Oh yeah,
I knew that was
not
for
only
me.
Did I know exactly.
I knew you had it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say I did it, but gee whiz, I think somebody got hurt.
Yeah,
and again, it's like I love the way he's written. I love the way he's played. Just calm. There's never an issue.
The ultimate sociopath,
exactly.
so detached from everything.
And what a great scene in the chapel.
Yeah. Yes.
Being held in the chapel, light, dark, all that kind of stuff. Just that hint of red on the side.
And when he suddenly becomes understanding and everything, Jesse just wants to kill him right there.
But there's just this very subtle wash over his face when Jesse used the word poison. And he knew that Jesse knew more than he thought that he did.
Yeah, and they even asked, "Well, how did that happen?" The doctors don't know, and then that.
But no one was like. Nobody's playing their head too strongly.
No. Jesse's very cool customer in that scene. Very cool.
Impressed with his
very cool.
Yet he really wanted to. And again, it was a moment that Walt had earlier where he had that opportunity and couldn't take it. And now Jesse had that opportunity and can't take it because he's trusting Walt. And that worked out well.
One of the things that just happened in the shows we were watching is the scene where Walt is sitting poolside and he's doing the spinning of the gun.
I love that.
Another really good tension device just because there's the gun and And I thought as he spins it 3 times and the first 2 times it aims right at him.
Yes.
This was to me was a parallel when Skyler goes to the 4 corners and she's flipping a coin and doesn't like the answer and flips it again.
Fate.
Exactly. I don't like what fate has in store for me, so I'll keep spinning until I like it. Yeah. I thought that was a nice little callback to that.
And there was also a wonderful sort of Walt's sitting there waiting for something to happen, but nothing's coming.
No,
like that. There's a certain irony about that.
Why would you be waiting poolside?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like he thinks they're going to come and shoot him just straight now,
I know,
and he's all holed up. He reminded me of Jesse when Jesse. I don't know if it was maybe it was the 2nd season where he's all holed up and methed out for days, and he's inside seeing things and just and the paranoia, the creeping in.
Can I just say that I don't think anybody does a better thinking look than Bryan Cranston when you see him start to think and you see his gears start to go.
Yeah.
Whatever he does, that look, you just go, okay, he's thinking of something that's going to be great.
Yeah. Okay, so now I want to jump to the part where the fact that Gus's manipulation or the wedge that he's put between these 2 guys, between Walt and Jesse, has been masterfully placed, but it wasn't complete. And so I'm wondering, where did he miss? He obviously underestimated the bond between these 2 guys. And I've underestimated too, because what keeps Jesse saying no? You can't touch
the key. The key is that he's still to his face calls him Mr. White.
I know he still does. I love the fact that he says, "No, Mr. White, I'm gonna finish this." But what? I mean it's so strong, that bond between them, even after all this stuff, even the fight and get out and don't ever come back.
Well, family fight.
Yeah,
John.
but
family fight,
and they're not even family. But they've completely adopted each other.
That's my point. Is that I feel like they have adopted each other.
Oh,
now.
absolutely.
And
the father-son thing is just
right.
so
like
tight
when Walt was all drugged out and he said called Walt Jr. Jesse. I mean that was that's it. And I think
so complete.
I think it's the history. I think Gus doesn't understand the history.
I think it's because Gus doesn't have that history. He doesn't recognize how strong that is, and I think for sure he obviously underestimated it. But he really thought. I mean, that was a great play on his part. Poison the kid. He'll think it's Walter, and he'll do my bidding for me without even knowing it.
But let's talk about it like that, because did you all buy it? Did you all buy that Jesse would immediately go, Walt did this. He's the only one that knew about it.
Because he was so angry. He's been so angry with Walt that I don't think he's ever really let him know. He wanted him to know how pissed off he was at him. Yeah. I think, obviously, as we saw, when he actually thought about it for a second, he knew it couldn't be him.
Yeah.
But he's been so pissed off at him for weeks. Whatever. So go ahead.
I think Jesse just to me he seems like a person who just kind of has to place blame. Like, he just was so mad, he had to blame it on somebody. He had to do something to make up for it.
And that was
there has to be a reason. Somebody has to be responsible.
The only connection he made was Walt, because he was thinking.
It's the first thing you see, because he's the only one he thought who knew about it.
Absolutely.
But also, he hasn't spent as much time contemplating quite what Gus is capable as Walter has, because they've been trying to outwit each other strategically in far more intense. So,
but to me, I mean, as soon as the kid was poisoned, I went, "Oh, Gus did it," because Tyrus in the lab, the whole thing was so obvious. It's like, how could you? But that's why I thought it was just his anger that got the better of him.
See, I was going, when did the kid sneak into the pack?
True.
Yeah,
you know what? I was
I think
is the kid trying to smoke? What
you
happened?
and I are probably the slow.
Yeah, I think we're the slow viewers. But here's the thing. The only way that I was going to buy that thought process from Jesse was the way they played it. Which was, he's crazy.
Yeah.
He needs, like Benjamin says, he needs a reason. He needs somebody to take responsibility. Right. And in his mind, and they built it up really well, in his mind, there was only one solution. It had to be Walt. And the problem with a show like this is, as much of that tension was there, he wasn't going to pull the trigger because it's Walt, but you're still going... and by the way, nice dent he left on the forehead.
Yeah, no kidding. The impression,
fantastic?
he really left an impression on him.
He left an impression.
But but the way that was shot, the way it was acted, even though you obviously, if you're standing outside of it, you don't have a suspension of disbelief. You know he's not going to kill him.
Right.
But even still, you're going, he's going to do something.
I was still going. There's still a part of me that gets so involved that is like. He couldn't do it. No, I mean, there's another episode in the season and a whole other season to come. Walt's the main character. He couldn't do it, but is he going to? I think he's going to.
But maybe
I think he's going to do it.
He'll come back.
He may wing him.
But it was nice to see Heisenberg show up for a second, like just take control.
Yes, that was the only time we saw Heisenberg.
I know,
episode.
and I was like, let's go, let's do this. And how great was it when he said, "Don't go, Jesse, don't go," and he's like, "I have to do this, Mr. White." Then let me help you. Who is cheering, going, "Yeah, they're back on the same side."
Yeah, the team's back together.
That's right. Let's get you guys back together. All right, so we just talked about the wedge and the manipulation from Gus and how it wasn't successful. But let's talk now about Hank's manipulation of Gomi. Yeah. How he's pulling the strings, and it was much more successful. Exactly. It's all here's Hank in his chair, not been able to do anything, and all he has to do is he knows what. Yeah. How to manipulate Gomi to get, hey, look, hey.
I thought that's what you were getting paid for.
Exactly. And but saying that was never his strong point.
Exactly.
And I've got to say, I thought he did it really well.
He was a great, that was
those photos are coming back.
Oh yeah,
you know he's gonna see. There's something in there.
Yeah. Even though the dog didn't notice something. This shot right here. This is when Gomi's in the laundromat, and he notices something. For some reason, some weird corded switch is hanging from the ceiling.
The transition of them.
And then we go down go down into hell here when we go into the lab and see all the red.
Do you think Gomi noticed something off there?
Gomi obviously noticed. He noticed that. Well, that's weird. Why would you have a switch there? That's not usual. That's what I think he noticed. I mean, that's why he took a shot of it. And then for some reason, the dog didn't smell anything, but they keep a very clean lab.
Yeah.
So.
Let me ask: was anybody like, "Uh-oh, the dog," or did everyone kind of go, "The dog's not going to smell a thing"?
I didn't think.
No, I thought the dog was going to hit on something, or
I mean, it certainly raised my level of tension. I wasn't sure,
or might be confused, like a lie detector test. It was inconclusive or something like. I thought the
false hit, or
exactly.
Somebody had a dog bone in their pocket,
or they would have put some other things around that the dog would hit on, but that would be explanatory in some way.
Yeah, I thought Gus is just too clean and too smart to like a dog.
I would think he would probably done a pre-run with another drug dog to make sure, but
that was a really good moment when Gomi's like, yeah, it's just me and the other guy, and they go, come on, and then out comes the dog. That was a nice moment.
That was great. I love that little thing. Gomi was terrific in that little scene too. Hey, look.
Let me tell you a story.
Whoa. Yeah, exactly.
And so Hank's moving in effectively.
Absolutely.
Even though still
from
no
his
one believes
chair.
him.
It was like Xavier and X-Men. It was just doing it from his chair. You know what I mean?
And then he sees the photos and he seemed pretty downhearted. You think?
Which photos are you talking about?
On
the photos. He looked like
on his computer. He's looking at the shots.
Oh, right.
And Skyler's over his shoulder.
Not.
And what he said that it doesn't seem like there's anything, but he wasn't buying it. He still wasn't buying it.
He's got that thing in his craw, and he's like kind of guy. He's a bulldog. He never lets it go.
Yeah.
So which is great for us. So we can't wait to see it. Here's a strange thing. And somebody help me out with this. So Skyler decides she needs to go out on the balcony. They got the DEA guys out there and the guns and the glasses. And why did they let her out of the house? Why did they let her hang by the railing? Is that because I'm going? Is somebody going to pick her off and just shoot at her or something?
Protective custody. You're kind of, but I don't know.
I don't know if they were doing that just to build tension, because I was honestly going, they're going to shoot her, or at least try for it. Well, so why are you letting her out into the air? The open, there's no window, there's no
Well, they kind of said,
curtains.
just stay up on the balcony, but I don't know. Maybe they figured we knew who everybody was and we knew all the players and the neighbors or something.
But I just, the way they were, for me, it was like, oh my God, she's going to get hit. Now, she wouldn't die or anything like that, but I was like...
You were waiting for the shot?
Yeah, I was waiting for the shot or somebody.
That's the tension of the episode.
That's what I mean.
You were just like, someone's going to get hit.
Because seriously, I don't know of a DEA. Yeah, sure, come on out.
Here, put this vest on.
Maybe because
I'm guessing
she's not.
They'd say, get in there, close the curtains, get away from the windows.
The only reason, I mean, if it was Hank, they wouldn't let it. I kind of justified it rationally from the sense that she's not a primary target or necessarily a target at all. She's just there to set Marie's mind at ease. So they were like, well, she's going to have a cigarette.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe.
If it were Hank, they would probably be, although Hank's not buying it. So
yeah.
Real quick, I thought it was hilarious when Saul is trying to convince Jesse,
that was good.
You put in a good word, and he's like, family. He's just scrabbling. And Bob Odenkirk is just
he's so
awesome
good
in this.
And even in this tense-filled, they use Saul as the comic relief.
His messages
HT.
were so good.
HT.
Honey tits.
Honey tits. That's what he calls him.
Speaking English here? Come on.
all the things.
And I think that was perfect, because just when you needed some relief.
Yeah.
You really needed that, and they provided it, which was great. And then you're right back in attention again.
Yeah.
So because otherwise it would have been exhausting.
Yeah, and whatever happens, I do hope they keep Saul, because he is so much fun to spend time with.
Yeah, I definitely want to see him next season.
Definitely one of my favorites.
Doesn't stay way too long. And what about the and so then there was this just terrific final sequence where you're really wondering. Is Gus going to go up in flames?
Right. And just before we get into that, I thought it was so great that Walt he went right back to his chemistry.
Yep.
That's how he's going to defeat It's going right back. Rather than playing his game on his turf, I'm going to play my game on my turf.
This is what got me here. Go back to what you know.
This is what I know. And you can't compete with me on this level.
Exactly. But it really is where they started, where he would just buy stuff off this out of the store shelf and like put it together.
Yeah, it was like he was back in his high school lab with his Bunsen burner.
Exactly.
And you said earlier simmering. This whole movie is simmering. That shot of whatever's simmering.
Yeah, that's sludge.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like that very first time in season 1 where he faced off against the crazy, local dealer, and he blew up the whole thing to get out.
Which is where he's good. Okay, so then we set up the whole thing. They finally get Gus to the hospital, which is picking up where Paul was just.
Yeah, and then Gus has the conversation with Jesse. Realizes he needs to back off, so says, "I'll blow this batch."
Yeah.
And let it go. That was tactics right there, right?
Yeah, and I thought that was a great foreshadowing. He knew enough in that moment to back off, which helped me understand why all of a sudden he would sense something in the garage.
Yeah. He's
somewhere. He's got some amazing sixth sense. That danger.
What happened in that conversation to make him start to think? Because obviously he was thinking after he left Jesse. He was thinking because as soon as he saw his car, he started to put the pieces together.
As soon as Jesse, sorry, go ahead, Ben.
We brought up earlier his face. He could tell Jesse knew that Gus poisoned him, and I'm guessing he didn't expect Jesse to react that way, where it's just cool and he doesn't want to do anything to him, just let him go. So I think Gus would figure, oh, it wasn't Jesse. Something's coming.
Yeah, there was something wrong. There was something missing in Jesse's reaction.
So that last puzzle piece. So in other words, that information changed his chess pieces, and now he's got. So he was rearranging them as he was walking to the car.
As he's approaching the car, and he thinks Jesse knows that he's been poisoned and hasn't, and is here. He hasn't assumed that Walter did it and gone and taken Walt out.
Right.
That must mean that something else has happened, that some alliances may or may not have shifted. I'm in danger.
Right.
Right now, I'm in danger, and I've been away from that car.
Right. Which is nothing else around in this car.
And the first thing that he did reminded me exactly what he did when he walked straight into that firing gun.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
He walked straight up and said, if you're looking at me, see me now.
Yeah.
I know.
I know.
That was the exact same thing. Okay. Now, I talked about this earlier, and I don't know if you guys can't remember if you said that you recognized it either. The birds that I saw.
You saw a lot of birds.
I didn't notice birds.
I'm telling you, if you go back and look at it, there's the scene when Jesse's coming outside the hospital, or I think he's in the hospital, and we're seeing and they're just pigeons, and there's like a lone bird flying. It's like, what? That's weird. Why would a bird? How would they get a bird flying? It was just odd the first time I saw it. Then I saw it 2 other times, and the last time I saw it was when Walter's on the top of the roof, waiting for Gus to go into his car, and bird flies right in front of Gus. I was like, what is with the birds here? And I go, it can't be some weird happenstance. They must. And the only thing I was referencing was that is they're so close to their own freedom. That's why the birds represent. I don't know what that means. But
or maybe it's just like the fish jumping out of the water in serial buddies.
It could be.
I mean, is it possible that 3 times in one episode over a 10 or 14-day shooting period,
could be.
A bird would fly across frame when they're outside in Albuquerque?
But that's the thing about this show. Every time I see something, I go, what the hell does that mean?
What's it mean?
How did they put that in there? Because I think everything they do is get some sort of hidden meaning, some sort of alternate or some sort of subtext that I'm not aware of. But and that's the fun of part of the fun of the show is I'm like trying to figure all that out. And here, since we're looking at the shot, because this was such a tense show, when that truck which dropped Jesse off in the middle of the desert and Jesse's in his car, I thought, okay, something bad's gonna happen here. When do you see a car in the middle of nowhere? That's a good thing.
Yeah.
And I'm already waiting for oh crap, what's gonna happen?
Honestly, in this show, for me, it seems like the only one that is kind of hands off at this point is Walt. And I think at this point, I'm ready for any of the other characters to get whacked.
Yeah,
and it's like,
well, you know he's not going to get killed, but he sure gets the crap kicked out of him.
Walt,
so,
and again, I got to do
really
kudos.
Bad this episode.
Yeah, the last shot as he's just beaten down by Gus's strategy, and Bryan Cranston's face looks so beaten up and old. He's like you can see the wrinkles and what it's done to him.
You see him in this show, and then you see him in real life, and you're like, he's really not that old.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like
he's not that old and beat up.
This one season. it looks like he's aged 10 years.
Yeah.
They do a good job. And the other thing that was interesting at the end there, when he's on the rooftop and he's sitting there and he's crumpling down, like you were just mentioned, they have this piece of cardboard that he's sitting on, so he's not sitting on the pebbles or whatever.
Right.
And he'll look like a homeless guy sitting, falling asleep
And
on a cardboard box.
and a similar shot to end the episode to last week, where he was under the house,
right?
And the camera moved up and he's boxed in
there,
boxed in, and here he's on the roof, and they just
in a crumpled fetal position.
Interesting too that they brought the laughing back in this episode, where he starts laughing, but this time Jesse's like, "Stop laughing," and he did.
That laugh could have cost him his life.
Exactly.
There was such a great setup in that opening speech where he said to Skyler, "I've been under the threat of death for a year, and the time has come to face the consequences of my actions." And from that moment, we were waiting, like in a way, that's what this whole episode was about. Waiting to see what the consequences would be of this. Of everything as it starts to like move in on itself.
Yeah,
right.
Hank's in like everything's coming in closer and closer.
Yeah, and you see all the chess pieces getting moved and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And speaking in that scene, I thought it just cracked me up when Skyler turns. He's been telling her all the consequences are coming, and she says, "How long do you think it'll for you to get out from under this?"
Yeah,
I thought it was so funny.
Skyler.
Still that in denial.
Skyler.
It's so hopeful. It was almost innocent and sweet and kind of funny because I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. There was a really cutting line in there, though, when she says, "There's got to be another way," and he says, "There was."
Exactly.
You kind of screwed that for me.
Because that money's gone now, so we
that
can't
was
buy our way out of this.
By the way, how is Ted?
Exactly. Because
again, no reference to Ted. Maybe he did die.
I don't know. Well, we'll find out. Well, he's out of the
didn't even think about Ted at all this episode.
Yeah.
And that's a great point. For as much as they just slowed everything down, there wasn't a minute where I was going, I wonder. I mean, how they kept the tension up. They kept everything just popping in a very God, I don't want to call it slow, just non-action.
Well, it's some really great music and like the
music, especially that last.
It felt like almost Kubrick-esque sometimes, like The Shining. Those just like winding up strings that just kind of like drive you.
Great use of music.
And then all of a sudden
episode.
they drop out, like in that opening scene with Walt and Skyler. There's that build and they're packing, and then just like halfway through the scene, it just went dead silence, and then they have
it's just them.
that chat.
And it really, I don't know about you guys, but it's such a great job of just. All of a sudden, your focus is just on instead of the cacophony and craziness. It's just between those moments.
Yeah, so great direction from Vince Gilligan this episode.
Wonderful editing in that as well.
All right.
What else we got? Anything else we need?
In terms of just general discussion, that's it for me.
All right.
I mean, we can always find a little something to talk about, but on the big points, what a very interesting setup for the finale.
Poor little Brock's gone, right? Is there any way that you can?
Well, he was still breathing.
He's still breathing.
I don't know. I think maybe if the doctors find out what it is,
well, they got it is because he told her what to say. He told her it was ricin. Tell him it's ricin.
That was a conversation that I wished we had seen.
We could hear.
Well, the conversation after, basically whatever the conversation was that she said, "I don't want Jesse around me anymore."
That gave us the impression he'd be coming back into the hospital,
right?
Times.
Because the fact that he knows Rice, and you can spin it any number of ways why he would know that,
right?
But there was a beat gone where he is on the outs now, but I guess I figured it's Jesse and he probably screwed it up.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, and that's I felt bad for Jesse because it's the life that he's leading right now. There's no chance he can have anything in his life that's good because it's always going to be in jeopardy.
Yeah, and this was what he really seemed like.
Yeah, he seemed like
I this kid. I like her.
I want that family. You can see that there was hope for him in his life. That maybe, just maybe, I might be able to have some thing in my life that's pure and fun and interesting and not so.
But because of Walt, he doesn't have it.
No.
Which is what he said in season
father.
3. Walt was asking if he wanted to be his partner again when the deal with Gus was made. And he said, "No, everything I love is gone because of you."
I feel like he's going to blame himself for this, though. I feel like he's going to blame himself for Brock's death.
Well,
more than he's going to Like there's going to be a level of not forgiving himself over this.
Well, but that's what he does. That's his pattern. He doesn't forgive himself for his girlfriend dying.
Yeah.
And as he shouldn't. I mean, the cigarettes. What the heck are you still doing with those damn things?
Yeah.
I guess he was thinking that he was going to eventually use it.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's interesting.
All right.
But he always seems to blame himself. So,
well,
okay,
shall we
let's
hit a commercial?
Let's do that. Jesse, could you do me a favor? Take us to commercial, please.
Want to find out what the AfterBuzz is about?
Janice is a drama queen.
This is the divide that is going to carry the series.
Give us a call. 424-256-1729. 424-256-1729.
It's television, and they want it to be as dramatic as possible.
I mean, it's Shakespearean.
You never know what goes on behind closed doors.
Find out why AfterBuzz TV is the #1 source for after-show content.
Now, in the eyes of Jimmy, Nucky is a villain.
424-256-1729. 424-256-1729.
I mean, who would you guys rather hear that from? Your husband or your best friend?
The wig! The wig will come out. That wig.
When the TV show is over, get your AfterBuzz.
Carla. And we're back. Okay, we're going to head into our news and gossip section right now. So, what do you got for us, Jesse?
TV news.
Just a couple little facts for you. Did you guys
Bring 'em
know
on.
everyone's favorite TV meth-dealing married couple, Walter and Skyler White from Breaking Bad, both made appearances on Seinfeld? Bryan Cranston played Dr. Tim Whatley, the dentist who converted to Judaism so he could tell Jewish jokes. Yes, that was him. And while Anna Gunn showed up in that episode where George got a new pair of glasses and believed he caught Jerry's girlfriend making out with someone else.
Aha.
Oh.
Just a little fact. But also, make sure you guys tune in to ABC on October 23rd to catch Gus, Giancarlo Esposito, as the Magic Mirror in the season premiere of Once Upon a Time, as he will be playing Lana Parrilla, the evil queen's faithful right-hand man.
Wow, there we go.
That's a new show that was a pilot, this last pilot season, and about a kid who goes into moves to a town, and then there's sort of like this imaginative, I don't know, like alternate universe that existing within that same town where everyone's like a fairy tale character, and yet the people that they are in reality sort of represent those same archetypes or something like that. But it's got quite a cast. I don't know if it'll be any good, but we'll see.
All right, and our other bit of news, next week for our season finale, we are going to have our podcast at the Jon Lovitz Comedy Club.
Is it up in Universal?
It's up at Citywalk, Universal Citywalk.
Yeah.
Do we have a time on that, Jesse? Is it going to be the same time?
It will be the same.
So we'll be at we're going to actually see it and then podcast, correct? Okay. So when can people get there? 7?
I believe it's probably 6:45.
Okay, so yeah, get there early so you can get your seats. We'll make sure we have all the information up on our webcast. On our website. So check that out. Also, we're going to be able to ask them a bunch of questions. So
yeah,
you guys have
we've got something.
Yeah, AMC
going?
is joining us in this venture. So they're helping us.
We might have
participate.
Aaron back.
Yeah, we look to have Aaron back. They're not exactly sure everybody they're gonna get, but they're working on it with us.
Is Cranston in town?
We hope to have Bryan Cranston, one of the writers, etc. Who else will be covering it? There'll be Maria Menounos will be hosting it, so she'll be joining us for that. So that we're looking forward to that. Extra will be there, I believe. And the other thing is, if you have questions that you want us to ask, then email us. Let us know what you're interested in. What do you want to know from them? And certainly come and join us for the viewing and the podcast. We'll all do it then. So we look forward to that. And do check our website for all the information that's pertinent to that. All right, that's for the news and gossip. Let's move on to predictions. There we go.
She is.
Now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Well, Paul already made one, so I want to ask him more about this. Do you think Brock died? Is that correct?
Oh,
you think he's gonna die?
No, I didn't. That was just a genuine question.
Okay, so you're
I hope he doesn't. I think he's a nice kid.
I do too. I hope he doesn't. I don't want him to die either.
Evil bastard.
Yeah, I mean it's likely that they would because they kill people off all the time on this, and it has a huge effect.
For the stakes to appropriately be raised, and
exactly.
to really, really.
But you'd still be. enough stakes to be raised if he didn't die, because you still have his mother being.
Yeah, I mean, the wheels are in motion now, one way or another. So it probably doesn't. I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so because the damage is done.
The damage is done. He went after the wrong kid.
Yeah, the question is who will die.
Yeah,
we all think someone will.
Yeah, I don't think they've really worked the Gus story to the end yet. I don't feel like that full arc is there. So I don't know if Gus is going away at
here's
the
a question.
Season finale.
Because Walt and Jesse are so tight, because Walt called his own son Jesse, will they kill Junior?
I wonder, for me, I wonder about Walt Jr. and I wonder about Marie.
Yeah, they are kind of expendable.
Yeah, because, well...
I mean, you know, if you have to pick someone...
Figuratively,
yeah. Well, what you're doing by knocking off one of those guys is that you're getting to the family.
Yeah, because if you do kill Marie, then Hank is really... Okay.
And Skyler's sister.
Oh my God!
You know, I mean, it's just any one of those. And in fact, Marie is probably more. By killing Marie, you're getting at Hank and you're getting at Walter and Sky. Walter Jr. is more just Walter and Sky. You know, like I feel like that could be interesting if she got involved somehow.
Well, if that happens, then I definitely say that the Gus character is not over, because
that's right. The
only
question
be all about revenge, and you know,
whatever they do next week has to allow for enough room for a strong 16 episode arc. And this season has really been about Walter and Gus facing off.
Yep, it's been a chess match
and
all the
Jesse
way.
in between them. So it's really been about that battle for power.
Okay, so is the question: will Gus get killed, and they'll bring on? Remember Gus's people from Chile,
right?
Will they bring them in?
And now he has to go up.
Then there's a power vacuum. Walter takes it, and then there's a new thing that ends up to his like Scarface-like demise.
Because then we can see the rise of Heisenberg, so to speak, the Reisenberg. Because what do you do? Do you stretch the Gus thing out for a whole season?
I don't know that you can do.
I don't think
after
you
what
can.
this season has been about, something has to give.
Yes.
I don't think they can either. But don't you feel like there's still a couple of moves left, and maybe they'll put it all together in the season finale, and obviously they will. I just felt that. To me, watching where everybody was in this episode, I felt like there's got to be at least one more before the finale. You know, there was just some pieces left out.
Well, you know, they could have a huge cliffhanger, so we don't know what happened.
Yeah,
and then clean
it up
resolve
first couple of
episodes, which would lead into the rest of it.
Right, sure.
But whatever it is, whether it's next Sunday or next year, something will have to shift to allow for a final movement towards the series conclusion.
Okay,
but I'm with you. I think we're going to see more of Heisenberg than Mr. White this next time.
Okay, now here's the biggest problem I have, and this isn't really a prediction, but it's a problem. What am I going to do with my Sundays?
Boardwalk. Mad Men will be back soon.
Okay.
I have The Walking Dead, so I'm
Walking Dead starting again soon.
I've got NFL for a few weeks, so I'm pretty good there.
So you guys are all covered.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not sure it will any of it will be quite as
exciting,
exhilarating.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wish it was Breaking Bad, but
okay. And just for a second, I just wanted to. So exciting to watch on so many different levels, and Kevin has said this many times. It's firing on all pistons. I'm trying to find. Is there a place where they're lacking?
No.
I mean, I don't. I mean, I just have a hard. I mean, there's some shows, they're great shows, but I haven't found it in this one.
I have not found a thing.
I'll tell you, I'm more enthralled with every episode of this than half of the movies I pay to see.
I know.
You know, I
think what it is,
I can't think of anything that they're.
This is what I think it is, because in TV, usually in series, your characters don't really arc very much.
Right.
Because the reason why people keep tuning in is they get comfortable
because
with these people,
and
you see them go through struggles, but they're pretty much the same. They really let these guys arc. They really push them to arc completely.
Right.
I mean, from the beginning. I mean, Jesse characters, case in point, they're going to kill him off.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just some lowly, crack dealer, and now he's turned into this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge thing.
But I think that's the point because
I think
they do allow the characters
to see how far they push them,
and they do allow that chess match to just continually shift and change, and you really are. You're tuning in to see who's coming out this week.
Well, that's right, and the moment where Jesse pulls a gun on Walt, like that's
exactly.
that's right now on screen here in the studio. It's like you're watching it happen, and you're going. On one level, I cannot believe this is happening.
Yeah.
Also, at the same time, you're going, I kind of, in a way, wouldn't expect anything less.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly.
And it's at both times you're going, as we said
I can't believe it. Of course.
He's not going to kill him, is he? But he can't because then there ain't no season.
But they do it anyway. Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. So that's exciting.
Because there's fire.
It's like going to watch Hamlet and like getting taken away with the story, even though you've seen it 5 times and know that they're all going to die from poison or sword.
And it's how they tell the story.
Act
that
5, Scene 2,
exactly.
or 3, or whatever.
All right, well, I think we've exhausted everything.
I think we have.
We got to say goodnight. So before we do, go ahead, Jesse, you can start us out. But remember, tune in with us. Join us at the Jon Lovitz Comedy Clubs for our podcast next week.
Citywalk.
At Universal Citywalk. It'll be at the same time. We're going to watch it, and then we're going to podcast live. We'll hopefully have enough or many of the either cast or crew. We'll have Maria Menounos will be hosting. We'll have Extra there. Hopefully we'll have Vince Gilligan or some other Nobel laureate, as I'll call him. Yeah. So, okay, for Paul Ashton, Steve Bottomley, Ben Bottomley, and Jesse Janity in the booth, I'm your host, John Comerford, saying goodbye. Thanks.
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janity, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@afterbuzztv.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.